An incredibly disturbing case, one that really shocked us as we went through the sources. It's about the alleged aggravated child abuse involving the Griffith family in Fort White, Florida. Our deep dive today, it's built from, well, multiple recent news reports and also the arrest affidavits. And our mission really is to distill the most important and sometimes surprising facts from all these documents. We want to give you a clear, concise picture of what seems to have transpired and, the critical details that emerged. It's a complex investigation.
Yeah, it really is. And what immediately jumps out from those reports is just how layered this whole situation is. It starts with this one single alert, right?
Yeah.
But that quickly peels back layers to reveal these deeply disturbing allegations. And I think it's really essential to recognize right off the bat, this case involves not just biological children, but also adopted and foster children. And that just immediately heightens concerns about oversight and their potential vulnerability.
Right. And the trigger for this whole investigation was, well, it was truly unusual. It seems to have kicked off when a mandatory reporter at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Brantford, Florida, raised some serious red flags. And the catalyst, get this, one of the Griffith children was found with a functioning electronic stun gun at a church camp. Brian Griffith, the father, initially claimed it was just a fake toy, but authorities, they quickly confirmed it was very real.
And that stun gun incident, as shocking as it is, that was really the key, wasn't it? The mechanism that allowed authorities to step in. What the reports really underscore about that mandatory reporter is their persistence. It wasn't just a casual comment. It was a firm report that triggered the official response. Immediately, it just highlights how one piece of evidence, even something as unexpected as a stun gun at camp, can unravel something hidden and complex. So the Florida Department of Children and Families, DCF, they responded to a call for assistance on July 3rd, 2025, and that was specifically to enforce a court order to remove children from the home. The address was 173 SW Boundary Way in Fort White.
Okay, so DCF gets this court order. They go to the home for that preliminary visit. What did they actually find inside? What did it look like?
Well, the initial observations described in the affidavits are profoundly troubling. You had the adults, Brian, who was 47, Jill, 41, and then their two adult biological children, Dallin, 21, and Liberty, 19. And living with them were 9 children, aged 7 to 16. It was mixed, 5 biological and 4 adopted. But what's really striking right from the get-go is this immediate disparity in treatment. Seems very deliberate. The reports detail how the biological kids were, playing or watching TV. They had freedoms that were just explicitly denied to the adopted children. And what were the adopted children doing? Chores. It really suggests not just neglect, but maybe a calculated strategy, control, isolation right within the home.
That's a chilling observation. And it wasn't just about chores, was it? The reports also mention a really shocking lack of basic education, basic awareness among some of the kids.
Absolutely. The educational neglect, as it's described, is incredibly stark. It's really something. We're not just talking about a lack of schooling, like falling behind. It seems like a profound, almost deliberate deprivation. Many of the children were reportedly illiterate, and some didn't even know their own birthdays or their full names.
Oh.
Imagine there's a 14-year-old boy who claimed he was in the 4th grade, and another 14-year-old girl who explicitly told investigators she was illiterate and hadn't been to school in years. The affidavits really seem to emphasize how this illiteracy, especially combined with the alleged confinement, it was like a tool of control. It made these children utterly dependent, completely isolated.
And the allegations, they just escalated from there, didn't they? As investigators started interviewing the children, these truly horrifying claims began to surface. Children describing being confined in these makeshift cages, under bunk beds, with plywood apparently screwed in to stop them escaping.
Yeah.
One 14-year-old boy, he stated he was routinely locked in there most of the day, most of the night, only let out for lunch and dinner.
Just for meals.
Yeah, and he had to hold his bladder until morning. They were also apparently locked in their bedrooms sometimes, too. And the physical abuse detailed. It's equally disturbing. Brian Griffith, the father, allegedly beat the adopted and foster children with a cane. But he was careful, apparently, not to leave marks.
Calculated.
And Jill Griffith, the mother, she's accused of forcing children to lie flat on the floor and then pressing a sheet of plywood on their chests, causing pain, splinters.
Horrific.
And spraying vinegar in their faces as a punishment. Vinegar.
The systematic nature of it all, that's what really comes through in the affidavits. It's deeply disturbing. We're not talking about isolated incidents of losing temper. The reports describe routines. routines of confinement, specific implements used for punishment, and even instructions to the children to lie about what was happening.
Right.
Beyond the physical abuse, there are claims that children were given non-prescribed medication and explicitly told to deceive investigators about their living conditions, about events at home. It paints this picture of a really ingrained pattern: physical, emotional, educational neglect, all seemingly designed to control and isolate these kids. And then, perhaps the most egregious detail, there were allegations of sexual assault, too. One source reported that the biological mother of one of the foster children accused at least one Griffith adult of sexual assault.
That level of calculated control is,
Yeah.
yeah, it's truly chilling. Now, the family had moved to Florida from Arizona, right? And they had adopted some of these children privately back there. How did that background factor into this? Did it complicate things?
It absolutely seems to have added complexity. That's a key element. The reports point out the private adoptions.
Yeah.
It really highlights its significant challenge,
Yeah.
cross-state oversight. When a child's legal status is maybe unclear because of out-of-state records, which one source noted for one child, well, it creates potential blind spots. And those can be exploited, making children exceptionally vulnerable.
Yeah, I can see that.
And this seems particularly relevant when you consider the 10th foster child, the one who was initially unaccounted for when DCF first got involved.
Right. There was a missing child initially.
Exactly. This child had moved to Florida with the Griffiths in 2024, but apparently she eventually begged her biological mother to come get her, and she was ultimately found safe back with her mother in Arizona.
Okay, so she got out before the investigation really ramped up in Florida.
It seems so, but it's a really stark reminder of the complexities when kids cross state lines, especially in private adoption or foster situations, and the absolute need for robust tracking and checks.
Okay, so after these horrific allegations came to light and the 9 children were removed from the home, what were the immediate next steps from the authorities?
Well, the response seems to have been pretty swift once those detailed allegations were substantiated. All 9 children were removed from the home that was under the DCF order on July 3rd, 2025. Then the Child Protection Team investigators, they interviewed all 9 children over the next couple of weeks, gathering crucial testimonies, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And this comprehensive approach, it led to the arrests. On July 22nd, 2025, Brian, Jill, Dallin, and Liberty Griffith were all arrested and charged with aggravated child abuse, all 4 of them.
The adult children, too.
Yes. And the severity of those charges, it's reflected in the bond set. They were reportedly set at $500,000 each, though one source did specifically note Jill Griffith's bond was higher at $1,500,000.
Okay.
That really reflects the alleged nature of the abuse described by the children. And most importantly, all the children are now faithfully in DCF care.
So what does this deep dive really mean for you listening to this? We've kind of journeyed from what seemed like an initial, maybe minor, or at least unusual report, that stun gun at church camp, all the way to the unraveling of what's alleged to be systemic abuse. We're talking confinement, physical torture, profound neglect, and all of this happening, shockingly, within what should have been a safe home environment. We've really tried to highlight the chilling details from the reports. Those makeshift cages, the vinegar used as punishment, that stark difference in how biological and adopted children were allegedly treated. And crucially, the role of vigilant reporting that finally brought this deeply hidden situation into the light.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, this case really, really underscores the hidden vulnerabilities children can face, especially, perhaps, those who are adopted or in foster care systems. And it hammers home the critical importance of community vigilance, people speaking up, and having robust oversight systems in place, even when adoptions are done privately. Maybe here's a final thought to leave you with. Consider how often the most shocking truths, like in this case, are revealed not through some huge dramatic investigation initially, but through the simple unexpected actions of a child, like bringing a stun gun to camp, an act that prompts a closer look, forcing us to see what might lie just beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives.